Hello.
Hello,
guys. How
welcome
you guys
to
going?
the Supabase Happy Hour. Once again, I messed up the time zones on the scheduled tweet, and so hopefully people haven't been sitting around for half an hour
The past
thinking that
hour.
we should be live. But hopefully, if you looked at the little thumbnail, you would have gone, "Hang on, this says every Thursday, at." I've forgotten what time it is, PT and ET.
It's not even
but-
Thursday for us.
No, it's not even Thursday. It's all a lie. I'm so like. First, I started off just being upset about like having to take the U out of color every time I wrote CSS, and like that used to get to me. And now I've just completely given in to like, now I even just say what day it is in a different time zone instead of what it is for me. So this is the Supabase Happy Hour, which is the happiest hour of the week, or the happiest couple of hours of the week.
2 hours, yeah.
Where we get to build some fun stuff with Supabase and just have some casual hangout time at the end of the week. For us, it's Friday, so it's an even happier hour for us. And depending on where you're coming to us from in the world, it could be a happy hour or a very unhappy hour. So if you're joining us in the chat, let us know where you're from. Where are you tuning in from? What time
it is for you, if it's Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, that's right. What day is it?
Let us know that.
What time is it? And where are you? Yeah. So this is episode number 12. Or as we determined last week, I think it's season 2, episode 3.
Season 2, episode 3. I love that.
Oh, is it episode 3 already?
I think we're
it
up
is,
to
isn't
episode
it?
3.
Yeah.
Wow, time
It is.
flies.
Time
Yeah, it's
really
wild.
does fly by.
So in the first
Crazy.
season of the Supabase Happy Hour, we built out a real-time chat application that a Supabase backend to power a real-time chat application that was built in 2 different platforms. So we had a Next.js app and we had a Flutter app, and we have a playlist for that, which I will drop in the description for the video. And so, yeah, highly recommend you go and check that out if you're interested in how to build multi-platform apps. This season, we are building out a SaaS application using Remix. And so what is our SaaS application going to be, Alaister? What are we SaaSifying?
Well, I think it's to solve one of my own problems, that I just have a shocking memory and I can't remember what I did, yesterday. So maybe it's like a little timeline journaling app. So you can journal, very simply create journal entries, assign dates to them. So I don't know, maybe I could write down what I had for dinner last night, and then in a month's time I can say, oh, what did I have for dinner on this date, and I can look back and see what I had. But the way we're going to SaaSify it is kind of putting limits in place around the kind of the different things you can do on the app. So we could have different subscription tiers, and limit how many journal entries you can enter or something like that. But it will hopefully will give you some idea about how you can implement that sort of thing in your own app, because it's quite a common use case, I'd say, for SaaS apps.
Yeah, and that's such a repeatable pattern, being able to have something like anything that you're kind of allowing people to either create or have read access to, and then having those different like payment tiers to kind of unlock different functionality. That's a very repeatable pattern. So we feel like you could take this series and probably just copy exactly what we do, or even just clone the GitHub repo and then maybe just follow the Supabase steps to set up your own instance. And you'll have yourself a whole enterprise startup that you can you can make millions
Make
from.
millions
Because
on. Yeah.
by the end of this stream, like, we're actually going to have a real SaaS app where you can actually charge people real money for subscription. So we're going to be using Stripe, and they kind of do all that heavy lifting and security stuff, so we don't need to worry about it, and we'll just automatically charge any subscribed user every month or every year or whatever you decide, which is super, super cool. So we have Amin joining us from Algiers, which is very cool. And
Nice.
apparently it
Thanks
is
for joining us.
Friday, but only just
Wow.
Friday. The first hour of Friday, or I guess the second hour of Friday.
Guess that's the happy hour for the developers, huh? 1
Yeah,
a.m. That's a
absolutely.
perfect hour.
Yeah. Again, like, I feel like every time we do this stream, even no matter where we move it, whatever time we try and lock in to do this weekly, people are always only joining us at like
Yeah.
1 or 2 in the
1,
morning.
2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But we had that one tweet that had a pretty good traction, right? About how developers are so focused on 2 a.m. Maybe you can bring that up. I don't know. Yeah,
I
that
don't have it
one
ready to
from
go.
Simpsons one. That
Right.
went somewhat viral, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like there's not many people watching in a reasonable time zone. It's all
Yeah.
yeah,
Great
it's all
time.
people at like 2 a.m. We have Cookify is joining us, saying hello, hope you're all fine. We are. Well, I'm fine. How are you guys?
Wonderful.
Doing
Thank you for
great.
joining.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so
2
much.
a.m. in Sweden,
Wow.
where Cookify is joining us from. That's that's not the happiest hour. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a pretty happy hour, and it's already Friday, so that's pretty great. And then in Nepal, it's 5:45 a.m. I'm assuming
Wow.
also on Friday.
That's early morning, right? I'm sure you woke up really early.
Yeah,
So you didn't
I'm
stay up
hoping you
all
woke
night.
up and haven't been up all night. Yeah.
Yes, that is a very, very early one. And Amin is joining us for the first time catching the stream.
Nice,
So
thanks.
that is excellent to see as well. So I guess if this is your first time, or even if it isn't, we should probably introduce who we are. So I'm Jon Meyers. I'm a developer advocate at Supabase.
Nice.
Fun fact about you? I don't know.
A fun fact about me. Okay, I was just gonna see who was gonna take over. I feel like it's fun just like throwing it up in the air and seeing like who's gonna jump in. Are they gonna jump in at the same time? A fun fact about me is I produce hip hop music and a whole bunch of electronic stuff, and produced all of the little musical things that you hear on like Supabase YouTube videos and things. And I do that with all of these fun toys that I have off to the side here. Alaister.
All right. Hello, I'm Alaister. I'm on the front end team usually at Supabase, but as every week I sneak back onto the happy hour stream because it's too happy to miss. So here I am, and now we're doing this fun fact segment. That's you putting me on the spot. What's the fun fact?
Absolutely.
Cool. A fun fact is I'm quite into different whiskies. I have quite the collection of whiskey. I reckon the fun fact is I have more than 70 bottles of whiskey.
Wow, that is actually an extremely fun fact that I didn't know about.
Wow,
you.
Yeah.
I am also, or I used to be, massively into whiskey. I also have a ridiculous collection of expensive whiskeys. And when I was in Japan, I drank amazing whiskey.
Yeah, Japanese whiskey's great.
I went to this really cool it was in Niseko, which is like in the like kind of snow area, or I was there snowboarding. And they had this awesome whiskey bar where they had a collection of whiskeys. Like it was like a tasting paddle of different whiskeys. So you try like a little bit of each one. And the one at the end was because if you're not like a whiskey person, if you're not deep into your whiskeys, usually like the more mature whiskeys, the ones that are sort of like 18, 20 years old, are like, the top shelf kind of whiskey. And this one didn't have an age. It was only an estimated age because the distillery had gone out of business, and they essentially just like covered it over with dirt. Like they just left it. It was abandoned. And then someone found all of these like super well aged whiskey barrels.
Treasure Mountain. Wow.
Yeah. And then they like kicked off a new distillery. I think it was the Mars Distillery was what it was called. And
Wow.
so yeah, they had some of this like that batch that was found. So it was just an estimated age as to how old it was. And I don't know if it was just like a psychological thing, but that's the most incredible whiskey I've ever had in my life.
Wow,
So
what's your
did you
favorite?
say
Incredible.
you've still got whiskey, John? Because
Yeah.
if you said that, I know whose house I'm going to show up at tomorrow after lunch. Johnny's driving.
Yeah. Alaister and I are actually catching up IRL. I'm meeting Johnny, our designer that we've mentioned a few times on these streams. I'm
We didn't
gonna hang out
mention
with these
where we
two
live,
IRL.
did we?
Oh, yeah, I'm from Melbourne.
Yeah.
John's from Melbourne, and Tyler's,
Yeah, we live in the
as
same
always,
city,
the
but
coolest.
Yeah.
We've only seen each other like maybe 3 times
Yeah.
in the
But I
months
guess
that we've
I
both
haven't
worked
gone
together.
I haven't done my introduction yet, but yeah, I'm Tyler and I'm based in Japan. I'm a developer advocate on Supabase. Usually I focus on the Flutter side of things, but every Friday I show up here, have fun with Alison and John. It's been amazing. And I guess one fun fact about me is I'm really into this sports called handball, or in the United States people call it team handball. It's like soccer and basketball combined together kind of thing. So it's played indoor. It's really popular in Europe. So if you're in Europe, you definitely know it.
Wait,
Brazil's
this isn't
really
like
good at
the
it.
one
So
where you have like a rectangle and just like different quadrants, and like in
Four
Australia
square.
that's what is called handball. Maybe that's just what we play in like
is that like the ball's like kind of this size and you smack the ball against the wall? Because that's like New York
against the
handball,
wall,
which is not okay.
it's just like
Wow,
on the
this-
ground, like concrete or whatever. You just draw out like 4 quadrants, and then you
Interesting.
bounce it. It can only bounce once in each square, but it's kind of like a
It's more of a
like
kid's
primary
sport,
school, high school kind of game.
Yeah,
right.
I played it a lot in high school. I
Yeah.
I wasn't very
I didn't know
good,
that
but it was
there's
a lot of fun. We called it
there's a lot
Foursquare,
of
though.
Foursquare.
Square. Oh, okay.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of sports called handball, huh? No, it's not that one. It's actually more of a more serious one, I guess. It's not a primary school kind of thing. There's people playing it professionally. It's Olympic sport and everything. So
Right.
yeah.
Wow.
It's a pretty exciting sport. If you don't know what handball is, go check it out. Some people say it's their favorite Olympic sport. So it's a pretty exciting
Wow.
one, pretty physical and everything. Yeah.
So are you like running towards a goal, or is there a wall that you're bouncing it off like squash?
There's no walls. It's like, so it's played on the same court as a futsal. So actually, futsal is soccer played on a handball court. So there was
Right.
there was
Right.
handball first. Well, I guess there was soccer first, and then people said, you know what, we can probably play this with our hands, and eventually they moved into the gym to play that, and then. This is my speculation, but one day a bunch of soccer players, maybe a rainy day or something, came into the gym, saw this court with a goal, and said, "You know what? We can probably play soccer here." And that's how futsal was invented, I'm guessing. But yeah,
That's so
futsal
cool.
court and handball court are the same exact dimensions and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I am loving this fun fact. Maybe we should do this every week.
Oh,
We
no,
should have to come
I
up
don't
with a
have
new
that many
Yeah.
fun facts.
we'll slowly learn so much about each other. Yeah, that's awesome. So do you play this like just like as a social league
Yeah.
type thing? Are you competing
yeah.
at Olympic level and I just don't know this?
No, just casually playing it. But yeah, COVID kind of, that took away some of the fun. So I haven't been like very active with it in the past few years, but I love to get back to it.
Awesome. Also, I
Yeah.
just realized you're rocking the Shure MV7 microphone there. Have you had this for ages and
Yeah,
I
I
just
am.
didn't realize?
No, I only got it last week.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
So I
sounding
moved to a
sounding
new
very
place.
clear
I have
and
thank you. Yeah, I moved to a new place. Have this nice setup with my light, monitor, camera, and
Beautiful.
everything. Yeah.
it's looking very
Very
nice.
Hopefully, beautiful background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've
I-
won
I'm
up with
gonna-
my
Okay.
plant.
You've both got nice plants. I do have nice plants outside the window, but I also have this nice backdrop with lights.
It's nice.
Which,
Yeah.
it's a lot more consistent. I feel like as the day goes on, it gets very like light and then dark, and yeah,
Mm.
it's very hard editing videos if I have the window open. We have Daryl joining us from the Philippines.
Nice.
That's cool. I
Philippines.
wonder, I guess we hypothesized
8
this last
a.m.?
week, but I'm assuming,
Yeah.
it's probably about 8
I think it
a.m.
was hour earlier than Japan, I think.
Right. Franklin is joining us at 21 hours and 8 minutes in Sao Paulo in Brazil. That's cool.
Nice.
I have rescued Sao I don't know if I'm actually pronouncing it correctly, but Sao Paulo I have rescued in the game Pandemic, a board game, which maybe you'll find out next week. I'm really into board games as well. But Pandemic, I have rescued Sao Paulo countless times from the virus that's spreading out. So yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. We've got Hiroshi joining us from Tokyo. So very near Tyler, probably the same time. Probably exactly the same time.
Japan only has one time zone. It's a small country.
Tokyo's big though.
Yeah, Tokyo is very big.
It's a lot of people, not so big area-wise. Yeah.
Right. And Forbes School says Flutter Supabase guy win. I guess that's Tyler. We need live demo of every functionality. So
we do, don't we? Yeah.
There are many ways that you can learn from the Flutter Supabase guy and learn every functionality of Supabase by checking out the previous stream. So we did we actually only ended up doing 2 streams on Flutter because you were too efficient at it.
And Supabase helped a lot. But yeah, I guess one thing I can hint here is there's gonna be an exciting update coming to Flutter side of things in Supabase. So keep an eye out for that. And I plan to make a video introducing a lot of the functionalities. So yeah, some exciting things happening. Keep an eye out for that.
Awesome. And Amin is saying, Handball, Japan, you must know. Haikyuu.
Haikyuu. Yeah. I guess I love handball. I live in Japan, but Haikyuu is a volleyball manga, so it's not quite handball. But I do love Haikyuu. I do know Haikyuu and love Haikyuu. But yeah, a slightly different sport. Thanks, though.
Awesome. All right. So, actually, we've got shout outs first. I was about to say, let's jump into the code. We've just been having so much fun chatting about. I think we should totally do this every week. I want to know more about you both. This is lovely. So this is this is that awesome meme that that Tyler was referring to, where this is what coding is like IRL. So 6 a.m. you're so tired, 6 p.m. you're so tired, just doing like the things that you need to do throughout the day, and then 2 a.m. you just can't sleep. You're up there like tiling the roof or building a new application using Supabase and Remix, perhaps. That's totally how it is, which is why everyone is joining us in the middle of the night. If you like being awake in the middle of the night and you're not in Singapore, you should get a ticket to CityJS because it is running both in person and online. So if you like being up in the middle of the night, it might be the middle of the night for you, and you could go and check out all of these awesome talks. This one will be emceed by Thor from Supabase, which is just going to be awesome. I feel like I would love to go just to listen to Thor MC in between each speaker. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And you will both be there in person, won't you?
Yeah.
We will.
Yeah. So if you are in Singapore or can make it to Singapore, then you should go hang out with these two IRL and go and ask them questions about the Supabase happy hour. But yeah, there is heaps of awesome speakers and lots of Supabase talks. Highly recommend. That one's going to be awesome. So yes, you can get a ticket for in person or a ticket to view online. Get in there quick before all those tickets disappear. The next thing is what's happened here? No, this is not what I was saying. I was going to plug. Well, I guess it's there at the top, but there is a sale happening at Level Up Tutorials, so you can go and get 50% off. I think Level Up Pro for a year. And so why you might want to do that, if you really like Supabase and you really like Remix and you want to go and learn more, you can go and learn more from this guy. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. just can't actually see. Oh, that's too far. But yes, you can go and check out this awesome course where we go through building a real-time chat application using Remix and Supabase. So yeah, awesome resource to continue your learning about Remix and Supabase. It goes much more in depth into some of the things that we probably won't cover in this stream. The next thing, while I'm plugging myself at the top of the stream, for some reason the UI is broken around this bit, which is why I keep trying to refresh and seeing if I can get it to look nice. It's kind of flashing looking nice, but it's broken. I wrote a article last week which is very similar to what we're doing in this stream, where we are storing data in a cookie with sessions and Remix. So you have cookies if you just want to store a cookie, and then if you want to store any additional data, you can create a cookie session, which is exactly what we're doing for auth right now. So I recommend you check that out. And to continue on, me just being famous and whatever, Egghead wrote a case study about all the cool things I've done with Egghead and some things that are coming up. So yeah, go and check that out. Our friend Andrew, or SilentWorks, on Discord has created this awesome Supabase tips video, which I think I hinted last week, but I don't think it was live.
Look at that view count. That's real nice.
View count.
Yeah.
777.
Super lucky.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, yeah, go and check this out if you want to learn about one-to-many relationships and how easy it is to model a Supabase schema around relationships across tables. And I think, once again, I'm just going to hint things that probably aren't public, but I think this is part of a series of different types of relationships. So there might be a many-to-many relationship coming soon, maybe.
Yep.
I feel like Tyler knows more. Tyler's more on the inside of these Supabase tips.
Yeah. So there'll be more series on like one-to-many, many-to-many, that sort of stuff. And there's another video coming out actually tonight in Asia time, in Japan time, I guess, on text search, how you can perform text search using Supabase. So yeah, if you're
Awesome.
interested in implementing search using Supabase, that'll be a very nice one, hopefully.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I can't wait for that. I feel like that's actually, do you mean like full text search stuff?
Yeah, full text search. I learned a lot while I was creating that video. So
awesome.
Hopefully
this is one of
it'll
the
be helpful
things
for
that
other people as well.
I've been interested in learning for a long time and just haven't actually spent the time putting together an example. So I am very keen to learn that. That's gonna be awesome.
Mhm.
I've also heard that apparently Thor says that this is like the best. What is it? ASMR? What is it?
Yeah, ASMR.
ASMR, yeah.
Okay. Autonomous sensory media. So anyway, something that is very nice to listen to. Listen
Andrew
to
has a
Andrew's
really
voice
deep,
explaining one-to-many
calming
relationships.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very pleasant. So even for that aspect, even if you know everything about one-to-many relationships or aren't even interested, go and check out the video just to hear Andrew's lovely voice. And the other thing, which has nothing to do with this page that I'm showing, is that Supabase is going to be running a launch week soon. And we will be running a special day as part of that. That's going to be kind of like a little mini Supabase conference thing for our community day. And so, yeah, I think next week we will have a very cool way that you can register to get a ticket and secure a place to that, because it's going to be very exciting. But yes, launch week coming soon. And with launch weeks come hackathons. So hackathons coming soon. And with hackathons come unique swag and very limited edition cool swag that you can get from Supabase. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Amin is saying that they have built text search with Supabase and Remix before. I should blog about it or open source an example. You should do both of those things, definitely.
Yeah, totally.
That is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, if you do write a blog or open source the example or anything, let us know. Hit us up on the Supabase Twitter or tag the Supabase Twitter, and we will make sure that we help amplify that. Because that would be a
As
really
well as
awesome.
give your swag.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, DM us and let us know, and we will hit you up with all of the swags and all of the amplifications. Cool. So, what are we actually building this week, or what did we build last week? I guess last week we started introducing authentication, and so basically we were creating a cookie that has these different properties. And the reason that we needed to create a cookie is because all of the built-in Supabase auth stuff happens in local storage. So when you make a request to Supabase, or I guess when you sign in with Supabase, which looks something like this, when you call supabase.auth.signin and then either give it an email or an email and password or a provider that you want to authenticate with. This, when the user has successfully signed in, this will set a session in local storage or an access token in local storage that Supabase will automatically send anytime you're making a request for any data or anything with Supabase. But this works on the front end because we have access to local storage. But when you try to load data in something like a loader function here, if we're trying to go and get all of our entries, this loader function is running on the server, which obviously doesn't have access to local storage. And so we need a way to tell the server, hey, this is the person who's trying to access this data, or here is the access token that we want to pass across with the request. And so cookies are a way that we can share that state between the client and server. So when the user first signs in, which I think we handle up in the root. So we have a listener here. So supabase.auth.onAuth state change. This is a special hook that we expose from Supabase. And when we pass this a function, it will automatically be called anytime the user signs in or signs out. And so that function automatically gets passed an event, which says whether they're signing in or signing out. And it also gets a session, so who the user is. And so here we're just saying, well, if they're signing in, then we want to make a request across to our /API/auth/login page. Or if they're signing out, we want to go to log out. And so these are just responsible for setting a cookie. So we're creating a new session. We're setting the access token that we passed across as part of that request. We're creating a cookie string, and then we're sending that back as part of the headers. And then logout is kind of doing the reverse of that, where we're destroying that session and then sending back an empty cookie string. Cool. So that allows us to attach that cookie. But then if we want to actually read that cookie, we need to do something like this. So we need to get the session from our headers. So pull out the cookies from the headers, get the session associated with that, and then get out the access token. And then we want to set that access token for our Supabase instance. And then we can make a request to Supabase. And the reason that we need to pass across who the user is because we are doing all of the authorization of our Supabase instance. So determining who can have access to different things. We're doing all of that in row level policies, which I can pull up here. And so, who should I pick on today? Alaister, what is a row level security policy?
It's possibly my favorite thing about Postgres or Supabase. And it stands for, RLS, we often say, instead of row level security, because row level security is quite a long thing. But essentially, you can think of it as adding an implicit where clause that runs on every one of your queries. So why that's cool is we can pass in who the current user is into Postgres, and then have a where clause that filters out rows, or on the case of inserts, disallows the insert. So it essentially is a really easy built-in auth auth-z solution instead of, if you know the difference between auth-n or an auth-z. I'm not sure if people still say those, but I still do. But yeah,
I feel like I write it. I don't think I ever say auth-n or auth-z out
well,
loud.
yeah,
but I
it's
always...
authorization, isn't it? Instead of, that's what it's short for. But I
Yeah.
just never
Yeah,
use
so
it.
auth-n is authorization, and then auth-z is... Oh, sorry.
No, other way around.
Auth-n is authentication,
Authentication,
and then auth-z is authorization. And so,
So
Tyler, what's
Supabase
the
gives you
difference
both of
between
those.
Actually, I've
authentication
never
and
heard that.
authorization?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So authentication is the process of verifying who you are, whereas authorization is like a gatekeeper making sure. Oh God. Okay.
No,
Uh,
you're absolutely
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Just
It's
keep
like a
going.
nailing it,
gatekeeper
yeah.
where you're making sure that you are who you claim to be, who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I guess authentication is the part where you log in, and the authorization would be to like verify every single incoming request to make sure that the person is actually that person.
Perfect. That is, yeah, a perfect example. Yeah. So authentication, signing users in and signing them out and registering them and all of that stuff. And then authorization, actually are they actually allowed access to this data? So RLS policies are a way that we enforce authorization. So this is how we determine should this person actually have access to it. And so we pass across, or we declare an expression that needs to evaluate to either true or false. And in this case, we're checking whether the user ID on the row that we're currently trying to select, so this is a select policy, does the user ID column match the currently signed in user? So this UID function is something that's given to us by Supabase. One sec.
It's the early morning voices.
Yeah,
You
sorry, I
just
didn't
need
want
to
to cough directly
wake 'em up a bit.
into your ears.
Yeah.
But yes, this function returns us who the currently signed in user is. And so we're just checking, is this user actually the user who created this entry, essentially? And so if we're, so that kind of where clause is automatically attached to every single request that we make to Supabase. So here we're saying we want to grab all of the columns from the entries table, and then this will automatically add on where the user ID column is equal to the currently signed in user. Yeah, so if we want to be able to just select the entries for that user, we need to tell Supabase who that user is. And so that's what we're doing here. We're pulling out the access token from the cookies that we passed across in the header, and then we're setting that as the access token for our Supabase instance before we make that request to Supabase. But this is kind of a lot of logic to have in every single loader or action where we need to have auth. And so we are going to create a new nice little helper that's going to allow us to basically run this logic every single time, and then we can just forget about it. We don't need to keep specifying it over and over and over again. So we're going to basically, we want a function which we're going to call withAuth. So it'll look something like this. We'll say, we'll get rid of that async bit. We want, actually, we would have the async in here because this is the function that we're passing to it. So we'd call withAuth, and then we would pass it this function. And then all of this stuff would happen for us. And so we would just need to make a request to Supabase. Does that sound manageable?
Nice.
Would the withAuth have to pass in the Supabase client?
It would be the other way around. So the Supabase client would get passed back. Supabase, it would automatically pass this in.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
To the function that's being called. So we would pass across the request, or we'd pass across the full context that we got from that loader or action. And then we would also pass back the Supabase client. So then this would be Supabase client.from entries, go and select this. So this Supabase client would be already set up with this special access token that's come from the headers. So let's build this withAuth function. So we're going to create a new util that is going to be withAuth.tsx. TS?
Would it be TS?
I always
TS
get
sounds
confused
fine
on
to
this.
me.
I think it's just .ts, yeah, because it's just a
Yeah.
function. It's a function that returns another function, which is a higher order function.
It is
There's
indeed.
the fancy terms for it.
We don't just teach Supabase here; it's JavaScript as well.
Yeah, that's right. And so this is just going to have, I guess, a handler function. And then the special thing about this is that we're actually going to be passing in a function.
Didn't we call
And
it
then,
withAuth?
sorry?
It's handler. What are we doing with handler? I'm losing the plot.
Wasn't
it withAuth?
I was wondering
Yes.
the same thing as well. I'm glad that you're on my page,
withAuth.
Alaister.
My brain wasn't working. All right, so withAuth is going to be our function. And then this function receives this other function.
Did you go too far? Yeah.
This function. And what's my brain breaking about here? Oh yeah, we're calling this. So this is automatically going to be called by a loader, which is also going to receive that full context from Remix. So we need to use some currying here to say that we are going to receive a function. And then this is going to be called with additional context. And this going to return us some stuff. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
And then after all of this, we want to export default with auth. Cool. And so in here, we need to basically do this logic. So we get our session, rather than being just the request, it'll be context.request.headers.get. So that pulls it out of this context. Get session is not defined, so we need to import that one from our cookie helper. And then, oh yeah, we're going to need to type all of this, aren't we?
Well, I was actually thinking it might be both easier for typing and clearer to how the like different closures work. If we break this, like instead of returning a function straight away, if we just wrap it in another scope and then call the function handler inside, and then at the end of the function, call function with the, well, handler with the function. Yeah, because it's breaking my brain.
Okay, so what we're going to return is we're going to return calling that other function. So we're going to await a call to that function, and that function is going to take in all of the context. So we're going to spread in everything that we get from here. So that's the request and response and all of that stuff. So this function that's being called is this function here that we're declaring. So this function gets the full context. So this is a context object, but what we're doing is we're just pulling out request. Actually, if we're declaring it all as one object, then this is what we're getting back. Oh, we can do this. All right. We're getting back the request and we're getting back the Supabase client. So then here, we spread in the context. So that's the request and everything else. And then we would also set Supabase client to be equal to Supabase.
With a colon.
Oops, that's not how we do that.
This is such a small thing, but when we're returning promise, we don't need an await, right? In line number 10.
We can just return calling that function. And yeah, on the other side, Yep. Good call. Because that's what we return. So then this function call is actually what we're returning to the call to Remix that's trying to call that loader or action. So yeah, it's a little bit confusing, the like kind of indirection stuff that's going on here. But this function that we're calling here, whatever we pass in here, will be available to us in here. So we want to pull out our request and we want to pull out our Supabase client. And so another thing, that, since we're saying this is with auth, we could assume that this means that we're requiring auth to be set. So we need there to be a user if the user is trying to navigate to this route or call this loader or this action. So at this point, if we don't actually have an access token, or if our access token doesn't relate to a valid user, then we should probably redirect them maybe to the login page or something like that, because we don't want to go any further with this. There's no point setting the auth to like an invalid access token and then calling this loader. We probably just want to redirect them. So we can pull out the user from this access token by calling supabase.auth.api.getUser and then passing in this access token. And then if we do not have a user, then we just want to early return. So we want to return a redirect where we want to redirect the user to, I guess, the /login page. Nice. So if they're trying to visit a page that they shouldn't be allowed to visit, then they're going to get redirected to the login page. And then if there is a valid user, so we do have an authenticated user, then we want to set the auth context of our Supabase client to be the access token for that user. And then we want to call that function. So that's either the loader or action, passing in the context or spreading in the context and the Supabase client. Okay. Does that make sense?
We could also pass through the user we just got, seeing as we got it. That'd be pretty cool.
Excellent idea. We could pass through the user, and maybe we could even pass. Do you think it's a good idea to pass through the access token? Would we ever need the access token? No.
It doesn't matter. I don't think we're going to use it here.
Yes, in the front end, we would have, if we needed to get access to the access token, we could get it from local storage. Yeah, let's go with that. So yeah, we're passing through the user. The reason that it's a good idea to pass through the user, let's not go into it yet. We'll go into it soon. All right. So we can pass back the request and response and all of that stuff. We can spread in a user, and then we can also pass through that or pass back that authenticated Supabase client.
Franklin from the comments has a suggestion.
Loader instead of using a higher order function.
Like this?
Yeah, that is a good idea. We could do that. We've come too far down this path now, though.
Does Remix have middleware? Is that something? I don't know. Remix well enough.
Yeah,
I don't know. I haven't ever used that that style of. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure it would work. But yeah, that would be another way to do this. Let's type our context here. So this would be, I think it's called a data function args. Look at that. Thank you, Remix. Wow. So a data function args is like a, is it called a union if you have everything from both or something?
It makes sense to me. Yeah, sure.
Let's say union. Basically, oh no, there you go. It says it right here. It's the arguments passed to either an action function or a loader function. So rather than us needing to specify this either has action function stuff or it has loader function stuff, we can just say this will either be a loader or an action. So data function args is what we're expecting this context to be. This function. I guess this can be basically anything, can't it? Like it would just be a function.
Well, no, we can actually properly type it. If we think about it, it's a function. So if you do some curl like parens, well, without you get rid of the function keyword, like literally just like
what am I doing? These ones.
Parentheses, yeah, and then like an arrow function. It works in TypeScript as well. So this function has to
Inside it, you
return.
mean?
Oh no! At like the first parentheses were the arrow function ones.
Oh, God.
Oh my
Hang
God,
on.
what's happening?
We can do this. All right. Arrow function.
And that returns a loader function, right?
Yes. Or an action. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess for now we'll just do it as a loader function or whatever or no. Actually, what's the return type of a loader function? Because that's what this should be. Because this is a loader
the return type of a
function.
loader function, I think, is any, because you can.
If you just command click, it will take you on loader function.
Ooh.
It will tell you what. Yeah, that's what it is.
It's the promise of a response or a response, or a promise of app data or app data.
Yeah, okay, let's use a cool TypeScript trick, I guess, that I'll see if I can remember. It's in the other file. So instead of the curly braces there, we can just do return type in all caps.
All caps?
No, sorry, in Pascal case, yeah, and then generic, like passing in a type, and then T, instead of T, we'll do loader function. So this is a handy like TypeScript helper that's going to pull out that whole, and if you import it from, it's going to pull out the whole cloud.
Return type of loader function?
Yeah, return type of loader function. It's a utility type. That's what I'm looking for. That's what they're called in TypeScript. So that whole thing that we just saw in that other file where it was like, it can be this thing or this thing or this thing. Instead of us having to copy and paste that and write it, this literally just extracts that for us. So that's half of it done. Now we need to type our arguments. And you did half of it there by showing us that data function args. So inside those parentheses, we can extend that data function args to, well, instead of destructuring, you can just call args or something like that. It doesn't really matter. And then a colon, and this is what we're going to type it. So first it's data function args.
I think we're going to have to pull both of these out into types, because we're going to need a return type of loader function or a return type of action function. And then here we're going to need args, which is data function args, and all of this stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to do an ampersand and then throw it in an object. I don't know if that works for interfaces, but I think it does. And then you can say user is user.
Is that Supabase? Thank you.
Yeah, and Supabase client is I'm not sure what the type of you just
Supabase auth client.
Supabase client, no, just
Supabase client. Look at that.
Nice.
Someone built Supabase really well.
The type I will say a sneak peek onto the upcoming features. Supabase V2 Supabase JS V2, which is coming out shortly. The TypeScript situation gets like 1,000,000 times better. So just I won't spoil anything more than that, but it's cool.
I think if there's a new thing coming soon, like a new version, and there's maybe like a launch week that we were talking about at the start of this stream that's maybe happening soon as well, maybe those two might be related. I'm going to pull this out and make this a little bit cleaner to just say type what do we call this function? Oh yeah, we'll make it just confusing and call it function args is equal to this thing. And then this can just be of type function args. I'm training GitHub Copilot to be incorrect, to write code poorly. And then the return type of this is going to be type I'm just going to call it, no, that's not right.
withAuth return type
function return. What did you suggest?
It's the withAuth, isn't it, specifically? So
withAuth. I'm just going to say, yeah, good call. All right, so this is going to be the return type of that, and then is it or? Oh yeah, look at that. It knows. All right, cool. And then
we're going to call it withAuth or withAuth return type or something.
Yeah, return type probably. Well, I don't know. Naming things is hard.
Yeah.
Generally, if
like
it's a private one, I don't over stress about it. I just say
Yeah.
whatever. Just used it within this file, so it shouldn't be that complicated. Yeah.
I feel like now that you've both taught me to be semi-competent with TypeScript, I now feel like the hardest thing about TypeScript is that it makes me name more things. Like I don't just have to name variables, I now
Yeah.
have to name the types for variables. But yes. All right, cool. That's a little bit maybe cleaner, where we have our function, we have our args, and that's going to be these function args, and then that's going to return a withAuth return type, which is that, and then the this function is being passed the data function args. Awesome. And TypeScript is happy. I noticed that Ken shouted out that this would work very well. The remix stacks use functions like require user, which you are suggesting. Yes. So the reason that we're not the reason, but one of the reasons that we're going through all of this is because we're about to abstract all of this complexity away for you. So everything that we're going through in this video, we're currently working on some remix auth helpers that basically abstract away all of this cookie and higher order function-y stuff, and we'll make it super easy to just essentially we'll just give you this function and you can just wrap it around, or there's a handful of places that you'll need to kind of tie in these different hooks. So you'll need to specify the on-auth state change hook at the top. You'll need to declare a couple of actions to be able to handle setting the cookie. And then you'll have this withAuth function that you can just wrap around any loader or action. And you don't have to actually think about or even know about any of this stuff. But yeah, it's good to kind of understand the concept of what we're doing. And if you need to do this right now, this is the way that you would do it. But the remix auth helpers will help with not only this, but also handling like refresh to cookies, which we're not really going to go through in this stream. And yeah, it'll give you the confidence that it's doing it all properly. And you can just use the function to make sure that you're authenticated. And then the next step, the reason that I've pulled this up is because the next step is to use that in a remix stack that you can just run straight from the command line. So when you're creating a remix application, you could say create remix and then specify the stack like Supabase, awesome DevRel and front end team built magic, which will do all of this setup for you and use those remix auth helpers. And yeah, it will just make life much, much easier. But they don't exist yet. And so we thought it'd be a fun thing to step through in these streams for building out our SaaS application. Cool. And we've got some fun action args. That's way more fun. That sounds much more friendly. But I guess it's fun data args. Because I guess it could be an action or a loader. George is joining us. George, I feel like you have joined us for a few streams. Whereabouts in the world are you joining us from? Amin is asking when this helper will come out. So I know I was just alluding to the launch week is happening soon. I don't think it'll be happening by launch week. I don't think it'll be finished by then, but it joins a collection of auth helpers that we've been working on. So there are Next.js auth helpers that you can use now, which have been released. You can just install them from npm. There are, I believe, we've either launched them or they are maybe launching as part of launch week for the Svelte kit helpers. And then the remix helpers will be the third part of that. Because you kind of run into this problem with every web framework that has some server-side stuff sprinkled in. And so if you're just working with React, then you don't have a server. And so you're making all of your requests to Supabase on the front end. And if you just have Svelte, then you're making all your requests on the front end. But once you introduce that server component, so in Next, that's like your API routes or your get server-side props or get static props. Once you have a server there, you need to kind of handle how you're going to pass across that access token. All right. So enough rambling. We now have a withAuth function. So now in our index.tsx, oh, sorry, George is coming to us from Missouri. So,
Missouri, nice.
wait,
That's a
does this
convenient
mean
time, I think. Yeah.
that you're the only person that's joining us from a reasonable time zone and a reasonable
Could
time?
be.
Might be.
And Jonathan is also giving us a wave. Thank you for joining us, Jonathan. All right.
Brazil is not a bad time right now. Brazil's similar to the United States, so it's a nice time as well.
Not too bad. Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess it's not too bad for us. Like it's a little bit early maybe for you, Tyler, but Alaister and I, it's a very polite almost 11 a.m. So yeah, it's a wonderful time to have happy hour. All right. So back here where we actually want to use this, we can now import this from our utils file.
And all of our type errors go away. Isn't that nice?
Wow.
All of the type errors are gone because
Beautiful.
Alaister helped us do it properly instead of getting to this point and then being like, oh yeah, we need to handle all of that stuff. And now in this loader, we don't actually care about the request because we don't need to do any of that cookie stuff. So now we can just get our Supabase client. So this is an already authenticated Supabase client from our loader, and then from that withAuth function, and then we can just call or make a request to Supabase and query for all of our entries. So we should check if this works, and then we should log out and see if it correctly redirects us, because this is on our index page. So I guess we haven't actually started running our application. I love that it's an hour in and we haven't actually
run the app.
We've done something. We've written the helper, but we have not yet actually showed what our application looks like. So
looks great.
Not it because we have set Cloudflare as a deploy target. It's running a separate process for Miniflare, which is over port 8787. And we can see that in our console. If we scroll up, it will say it's listening on 8787. Cool. So, look, it actually worked. So if we get rid of this, no, it didn't work. I mean, it did work, but we are logged in. But let's log out. So if we go to our landing page, you'll see that we can't actually get there. It's going to keep redirecting us to this beautifully styled login page because we don't have that cookie being sent across. And if we have a look, we can confirm that in our storage cookies. We have an SB token that's set to an empty string. So we can't, we can't send an authenticated request across to Supabase. So we need to log in. So we click login with GitHub. This will step us through. If this is the first time we were doing this, then we'd see that the GitHub UI asking us if we want to authorize using authenticating with GitHub. And then I think it's just redirected us back to the login again. But now if we navigate to here, we can see that we can actually get our entries from Supabase. So everything is working correctly.
Nice.
Cool.
Beautiful landing page. When I first saw this, I was a bit confused. What am I seeing right now? Is this a web page? Is this like a error message kind of thing? Like,
yeah, it doesn't.
I forgot that we
beautiful.
displayed this last time, but this is our homepage, isn't it? Right now.
This is sorry. So this is our. If we come back to the code, this is getting all of our entries from Supabase, and then we're piping that through from our loader into our index page, and then our index page just has a log out and a login button, and then we're just stringifying those entries, and this just means we're pretty printing it, so it adds some extra white space to display it like a big JSON object. And so we're seeing what we get back from Supabase. So if we have a look in our entries table, we have one entry. We should create two entries, but I don't think we had a second user. Oh, no, we did have a second user. So we could create a second entry for this jon@supabase.com just to prove that our RLS is actually working. So our ID is going to be auto-generated. Our content can be shouldn't see this one. Our user ID is going to be this one, which we can check actually links to our correct user, which is john@supabase.com. And then the title can be, this will not be seen. Now we have a second row in our Supabase database, but this is a row that was inserted by a different user. And if we have a look at our RLS policy, it is saying that authenticated users can only see their own entries. So the user ID column must be set to whoever the currently signed in user is. So if we refresh our landing page, we should only still see this one entry because the other one does not belong to us. And so we're not allowed to see it. So RLS is working correctly. Our cookies are working correctly because if we log out, which destroys that cookie session, and then we try and go back to that landing page, we can't get to it. And only when we actually log in can we see our entries. Cool.
Beautiful.
We're done with
Nice.
auth. All right, no more auth. We don't have to do any more auth, and we have this lovely withAuth function, which we can just wrap around any loader or action in our application and just automatically do this stuff. What did we want to jump into next?
Building the actual app, and then we'll build billing.
I like it. Because yeah, it doesn't look very nice, does it?
It's a pretty simple app, so hopefully we can just list out all of the different entries. Is that what we're calling them? I think we are. List out the different entries, have like a view page, have an edit/create page. We can probably roll that into one, which would be cool.
I guess this will be going back to auth, but one thing that kind of bugs me
We're
is
not
last time
finished with
We
towards,
are not going back to auth. We're done with auth. No. What is it?
towards the end of last time, we had like a if statement for line 25 and 26 for the login button, logout button, right? But for some reason that wasn't working properly. Like, should we see if we can right here in the index.tsx? Yeah, so we have the login button, logout button, but we were trying to only display the login button if we're logged out and display the log out button if we're logged in. But like for some reason that wasn't working out, and kind of want to see if we can make that work. Like that's
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think this might actually be problem we were hitting because we weren't because we were trying to get the user on the front end. So we're trying to grab this out of the Outlook context, which comes to us from local storage. But yeah, let's have a look. So if we save this, it's not happy about this one.
I think you're missing a end curly bracket right there at the end of line 28. Or yeah,
Line
I think
28.
that's
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought it was only
Yeah.
on this line. My bad. All right. Cool. So if we have a user, we want to show the sign out button. If we don't have a user, then we want to show the login button. So if we refresh, we see login even though we are currently logged in. So this doesn't really make any sense. And so if we have a look here, we are pulling this user in from our Outlook context, which comes to us from higher up here. We're passing in the context of our user, which is coming to us from
Oh, that's right. I remember. I said this, but I don't think we ended up doing it last stream. At the very beginning of the use effect, you can just call set user before our on-all state change to supabase.auth.user as a function though. If you call it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Because the on-all state change, it's a small difference from Firebase that often trips people up. Doesn't run if you're already logged in. It only runs after different auth events. Like it's technically more correct in my opinion that it does,
Also,
doesn't run the first time.
I was gonna ask, yeah, do we have a reason why we make it like that? Is that because we think that's more correct, or is it like a technical limitation?
I guess so.
Because the auth hasn't actually changed. Like the on-auth state change gets called when a user changes from being logged in to logged out, or changes from being logged out to logged in. But if the
It's
state
just
doesn't
a
change, if you're just refreshing
design
the
decision.
application, the state's staying the same.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So when we first refresh the application, we want to set the user to be our supabase.auth.user. But if we now have a look here, so we have our user and then we're console logging out our user. So let's have a look at what happens here. If we refresh and open up the console, it works.
The UI works. Yeah.
Our logout button has changed. So yeah, that's the piece of logic that we were missing. But if you have a look here, the first render, this user is still set to null, which means, yeah, the first time we render this page, if we have like this logout button, for example, if we refresh and look, you can, I don't know if it's refreshing fast enough, but you can see that it
There's a
flashes with
flash.
login and then it turns to log out. And so this isn't really very, very nice for our users to have this kind of like flickering, changing UI. But it also means if we're changing things based on whether the user is signed in or not, we're displaying incorrect information first before we can display the correct information. And we could fix this by like adding like an is loading state or something like that. But that's not very remixy. That's gross. That's loading states. It's loading spinners. It's not what we want. And so this is the reason that we also passed back our user from our withAuth function. So in withAuth, we are pulling out the access token from the cookies, and then we're checking with Supabase, does this access token relate to an actual user? And then if it does, then we get back that user object, and so we can send that back to the function, this one here, which means that our loader, which gets run before our component mounts, has that user. So then if we were to pass that user back as our response from that loader, then that means that here, where we're getting our entries, we could also get out our user, and then we don't need to call this one. Now, if we console log out our user when we're trying to render our page and refresh,
nice.
we only have that one render. So we're not doing that extra waste of time render that's showing the wrong UI. The first time we try to render this data, we have that user because it's being passed back from the server side, and we can refresh and refresh and refresh, and we never see that disgusting flash of the login button, which is very nice. So we could actually clean up our logic a little bit here. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of this one. We don't care about our session anymore. We don't care about use effect, use state, or our user type. Ooh, maybe we do care about our user type. Shouldn't that be? Oh, right.
Why
Because
is
we'd
that
need
happening?
to
Yeah.
type our loader data, right?
Oh.
So this loader data is going to give us back an object with with entries.
Remix doesn't give us a nice little helper to turn a load, like grab the return type of a loader function, and
It does.
I feel like
Yeah.
Yes. I saw Kent did this recently. Can anyone in the chat point us to something really quickly if you're coming to us from the Remix side? Because there is a way that you can, like, it ends up being quite a long type, but it's like the return type of a promise resolving.
like awaited.
Yeah, it's like awaiting. Let's say remix type await resolve. Just type words until it finds something. Does anyone in the chat know? Oh, they updated today? Do you mean they updated it with like... Do you mean they like updated a helper that allows us to do exactly this? Yes, I see. If we navigate to about blank, that will help us out. Is Kent awake? Could Kent come and help us? Determine loader type await resolve remix. How to type return loader remix. Oh, did we actually get it? Useful helpers have been added since version 1.6.5. So can we find some type action loader, use loader data?
Oh, here it is. I found it.
Nice.
I'm sending you a link, John.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just DM it to you. There we go. Awaited return type of get loader.
That sounds exactly what I was trying to ramble about. Up. All right. This one. Beautiful. So
I wonder if this is going to work though with our strange
withAuth I was just thinking that. But we await the return type of the type of get loader data. So we
which
need
in
to
this case should be loader.
That.
No, it should just be loader. So it needs to go under the loader function. Or at least, I don't think it does, but it makes me feel very wrong.
Hoisting something.
So if you hover over loaded data, what any, great, fantastic.
Our withAuth function. Do we actually? Yeah, this is a promise that resolves to any, whereas it should be a promise that resolves to withAuth return type, right?
I think we'll spend too long on this, so let's just type it manually because it's only 2 fields and move on. We can come back to it in between streams and then
give up.
That sounds like a wonderful idea. But yeah, there are ways, if you're not doing this like funky stuff, or if we had typed this properly, then yeah, there are ways to do this nicely. But we broke it, but we will fix it later. All right.
Yeah, we got some helpful suggestions in chat there just at the end.
Oh. So you can use loader args and use loader data type of loader. Sick. Cool. Wait, so couldn't we still do that? Because we're like here, couldn't we say type of loader? Oh no, to be the return type of the loader, right? We have import type loader function from blah, import type loader args from blah. Yeah, we've got those ones, but we need the return type. Oh, we've got some spam.
John's
How do I get rid of spam again?
Oh yeah, I got that one.
Thanks. Change loader function with loader args.
Which side do you eat?
This one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, from our on this thing. All right.
Yeah, let's give up and move on.
Let's give up. I give up. Yeah, we'll come back to this. We'll fix it, and then maybe at the start of the next stream we will go through it. But yeah, all we need to do to get our entries and our user is to say that this is of type this thing, and this thing has a entries, which I don't think we've typed yet. And it also has a user, which is going to be of type user. And then our entries, I guess we're going to need this anyway, so we need to type it.
Yep.
Our entries are going to be, Alaister, not to hint anything, hint, but is this maybe something that like in a couple of streams we won't have to do?
Maybe, just you mentioned something about a launch week coming up, and
That's a
something,
good idea.
Seems like
something
a
TypeScript, something generation, something. Who knows? There's all sorts of
something
words around.
CLI. Yeah,
Yeah,
Something like this, maybe.
something like that.
What am I doing? I
I
want
don't know what you're
entries to
doing.
be. Well, yeah, we don't need it.
It's
We just
entry.
need an entry.
Yeah, nice.
And then this is going to have an ID, which is a string. It's going to have probably a name. What did we do? A title. It has a created at, which is going to be a string. It has a title, which is going to be a string. It has a content, which is going to be a string, but is also an optional field.
No, I think it's the other way around. Title was the optional field, but instead of making it optional, maybe just make it or null, because the field will always come back. It will just be null, and then drop the question mark for content. Nice,
sweet. And then, this one, we have a date. So this is like the date of the actual entry, and then a user ID. So our date is going to be a string. Was that field optional?
I don't think so.
I think it just
can't
defaulted
remember.
now, didn't it?
Yeah.
User underscore ID, which is also going to be a string. And now we have an entry. So now our entries are going to be an array of entry.
Nice.
Our user is going to be a user. And so now we have entries and we have a user. And
Everything's
we're happy again.
Okay. Great.
I feel like I was in the middle of explaining something and then got sidetracked by this not having the right thing. Oh yeah, we were doing some cleanup. So back up in our root, I was going to say we no longer actually need this user, because we could just pull it out from our
withAuth
not only
function.
can we pull it out from our loaders and actions, but we should, because of that first render happening on the server. So if we're ever relying on something, either having a user or not having a user, we should always be pulling that across from our loader or our action, rather than pulling it out of the front end, because we can't get that on the first render. Which means we don't need this one, which means we don't need this one. We still need this logic, because we still need to set the cookie. We can probably get rid of console logs, and we no longer care about passing through our Outlook context, which means we don't care about this user here. Cool.
Nice.
So now we can actually build out our UI. So I think we did we did set up Tailwind, right?
I think so.
I mean, there's because otherwise,
yeah. Because we had that beautiful looking login button in our login route. So yeah, we do.
Oh yeah, we did that beautiful button. So what do we want the theme of our new app to be? Do we want, or should we just should we iterate over all of our entries and style?
Yeah, we're leaving the styling
for offline. People can contribute.
Otherwise, we'll never get done.
Yeah.
We should actually check whether anyone has helped us with that yet. Oh, look, we could actually just let TypeScript write. Let GitHub Copilot write all of it. So we have an ID, we have an entry, we have some content.
Wow.
We probably just actually need a title, and we probably want that to link off to a separate page. Is that what we're doing now? So we'll show like the details of that page, or should we jump straight to an edit page if you click on it? I just saw Rory is joining us, who is an old work friend who now works for Uber. So yeah, welcome, Rory. Thanks for joining us. If it is that Rory, I don't know if there are other Rory wildlings. Wait, no, what am I talking about? Rory works with us at
it's like
Supabase.
I was so confused. I was like, how many Rorys?
All right.
Me too. I was
Rory works with us at Supabase. Welcome, Rory.
gonna double check his last
Thanks
name
for
right now,
joining
but
us.
yeah, it's like
Uber Rory.
Uber
Well, in that
Rory.
case, a random fact about Rory is that Rory has just bought a machine, which is this thing,
Which
for
Rory are you talking about?
producing. Sorry.
Supabase Rory. Are we
Yeah,
talking
this
about the
is
Supabase
Rory.
Rory
A
or
random
Uber
fact
Rory?
about Supabase Rory is that he's just bought a machine and he is starting to produce dope hip hop beats. So
Nice.
yeah, stay
You
tuned
guys
for that.
should do like a what is it called? Is it called duet or is it like a more fancy way of
Oh,
saying
like a
it?
collaboration.
Collaboration.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
me
sounds
and Rory
better.
should do a hip hop collab. I like it.
Yeah.
Rory, if you could throw a sick verse in the comments, that would be awesome, and we'll start a freestyle soon. So we want a link, and we're going to link across to our details page for this article. So that's going to go to href. No,
It might be
to
2 in this one. You just need to import the link. But it's freaking me out that there's an H1 in there.
all right. Get rid of this.
We can
Then
style it to look like one, but yeah.
it's going to go to slash entries slash and then I guess our ID.
Yeah.
Cool. And now we have this, and if we hover over it in the bottom left, you can see that that's going to navigate us to slash entries slash the UUID for this particular entry. Do we want to keep styling out? Or we don't want to spend too much time on styling, do we? We just want to add the ability to actually update this. So when we click on this, rather than seeing a 404, we need to build a page for this. So we need a new route. And our route is going to be called, it was entries and then slash the ID of our entry. So we can do a dynamic route with the $sign. And this is going to be .tsx. We're going to have a new function called entry detail, and that is going to render out a H1 saying hello. And then we're going to export default entry detail. And now if we refresh, we see hello.
Oh, nice.
Alaister is freaking out about the H1. Jon, can you get rid of it together, Jon? Well, yeah, it's gone from the other page, which is why I thought we need to definitely
what a freestyle. Thanks, Rory. I was freaking out about the H1.
Or is this the start of your verse? Is
That's
it like
Alaister's
freaking
right?
out about the H1? Oh, no, it is. Right. Jon, can you remove it to get the job done? Right. I like it.
It's just like otherwise you're like, what's Rory on about?
Yeah, that's right. Like, oh, there's a bit of delay getting to us from Singapore. Is Rory in Singapore at the moment? Probably in Singapore.
I think so,
yeah.
All right, cool. So now we just need to grab the details about our entry. So again, we're going to want to do this on the server side. So we need to export out a loader function, and we want that loader function to use our special withAuth helper because
so handy, so reusable.
Nice.
It's so handy.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And yeah, we haven't shown that it works for an action, but I assure you it does work for an action as well, which is very cool. That we can have one function that we can just we don't even need to think about is this an action or a loader. It just magically works. Very cool. So withAuth takes in a loader function that we actually want to do things with, and we get past our Supabase client. And we can make this an async function, so we can await some data that's going to come back from our Supabase client. We want to select from the entries table. We want to select all of the columns, but only where there is a match on ID. So at this point, we need to work out what the ID is. So I believe we also get a params thing here. And this is what's awesome about withAuth. withAuth function, spreading in the full context back to our function. It means that we have access to the request, we have access to params, we have access to anything that usually gets passed across to that loader or action function by Remix. And we can just destructure the params here. And then I need to remember how to do it, but I'm just going to guess that we pull out ID from params. We need a match on that ID, and we're only expecting to get back a single row. So we can chain on .single so that we get the JSON object of our entry rather than an array that has one object in it for our entry. Which means we can probably call this one a entry.
We could even type it in there if you wanted to.
Ooh.
You remember how to do it on the
after from
with the generic.
Do remember how to do it. It's like this, and this gives us back an entry.
I think it was on
Isn't
the
it after from? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah,
So
exactly
close.
the right idea.
This will give us back an entry, which means that we need to export our entry from
Although we
here.
might get a circular import, so maybe we move it to like a types file or something in utils.
Will we get a circular import?
It's me just not liking it again. I don't think we will, because Remix, like, I don't know how Remix imports the routes under the hood, but it's probably fine. But at the same time, it's like that H1. It's freaking me out.
Roy, do you want to drop another couple of lines about circular dependencies, circular imports?
I feel like circular dependencies is a hard one to rhyme.
Dependencies.
Circular dependencies.
That is, yeah.
It's like trying to rhyme. What was the old one? Orange.
Orange with orange.
Something with orange.
Yeah, you can break it down into multiple syllables. You can be like orange, strange, I don't know. All right. I'm not a real rapper. I said I'm a hip hop producer, not a rapper. All right. So we now have an entry, which is either an entry or null. We're then passing that, or we're returning that from our loader, which means that in our component, we can pull out our entry by calling use loader data. And then does this magically?
No.
But this, I think, is where we can say type of. No.
No, I think that this is what people were talking about in chat about. We'll look at the new way of doing it that they just dropped in the changelog, and then come back to it next week. But in this case, we'll just manually type it again.
All right. I feel like Alaister wants us to get somewhere instead of just spending all of our time on either styling or typing. So this is going to be
an object, right? Yeah.
With an entry that's going to be an entry, and then our entry is properly typed.
Technically, if you think about it, we are spending all of our time typing. You were making a pun.
That's true. We should always spend all of our time typing. That's our job on the Supabase happy hour. Circular dependencies and happy days entries.
Not bad.
Yeah. Or is this more? Yeah. Are you adding on to Rory's verse? We'll slowly build up. We'll find everything that rhymes in the chat, and we'll slowly build up like a Supabase happy hour rap.
And then, John, you'll have to produce another one of those rap videos.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't know what Alaister is referring to, if you go to supabase.com/c/Jon Meyers, this here actually refers to that course that I shouted out at the start. But this is I produced the hip hop beat, but I also did a rap about this.
It's awesome. Go and watch it.
I'm not allowed to say it's awesome because that would be obnoxious, but it is awesome. It's very awesome.
Right. The rap is building in chat.
Circular dependencies and happy days entries. npm be having unexpected tendencyism. So confused.
Tendencies. Next line. Fixed it.
Yeah.
Tendencies. So confused. Should I update my dependencies? That is
Wow.
that is
That's
excellent. Yeah.
yeah, that's great.
Oh man, I'm loving this. Well, yeah, we'll have to I'll have to go through all of the comments and see if I can
Yeah.
put together a beat. It sucks that we don't have like audio clips of everyone saying it. Like if we had an audio chat, then we could have little audio samples of everyone doing their little segment of a verse, and then I could put it all together and time it up with a beat, which would be awesome. Maybe maybe we'll do that one day. One day, maybe one launch week.
Happy Chat 2.0 will have the voice chat feature.
Well, maybe this is maybe this is yelling an opportunity at us that we need to come back to Happy Chat in a future series of Supabase Happy Hour streams, so we can add the ability to do audio chat, so that
or we could build happy wraps where everyone can submit their own little clip and it automatically puts them together for you. There you go.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Build a little sampler and like recorder thing, so everyone can contribute. That would be awesome. Let's do it. All right, locked in. Next one is we're building a hip hop collaboration tool using Supabase, and I don't know.
A lot of real time in there. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be very cool. B Jones has said, now you're speaking my language. Hold on, I'll be right back. So I wonder what that means. I wonder what we're about to get. Are we about to get a whole verse recorded? Are we about to get a hip hop beat? Who knows? All right. So we are building an app. That's right. So we want to print out maybe each of the fields of our entry. Is that what we want to do?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Forget styling. Let's just dump a whole load of stuff.
All right. So we want not a H1, or are you happy with a H1 if it's on its own?
I'll allow it here.
We'll see if just write it all for me. Oh, come on, GitHub Copilot, you can do this. So we have title and we have content.
Created
actually, we don't really. Oh, we probably care about the date as well, right?
The date, yeah.
Right, date. It wasn't created at date.
Entry date. And there we go. So do we want to make this, how would you like to do the editing of this?
/edit, and then we can have like a separate component that is like, has but there'll be a button here, a link, which will just go to /edit, and then we'll have a separate component with all the fields in that we can then use on like entries /new or something like that, and we use that same form, and then every time it can just do an upset. And
I like it.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Oh, that is awesome. That's actually very clever. And I feel like with these naming conventions, maybe you've spent some time with Rails. Have you ever built a Rails app?
I've never built a Rails app, but I've
Have you really not ever built a Rails app?
No, I actually, when I was learning to code, I built an Elixir Phoenix app following a Rails tutorial. So because I really liked the Rails app they were building, but I was like, no, I want to try and do this in Elixir Phoenix instead. Which because that's back when Elixir Phoenix was basically like an Elixir version of Rails, like they were very similar. So
right,
I managed to copy it pretty well. And Rory's back on the sick beats.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was gonna first say Homie Coder is back, and if you're not aware, we are slowly putting together an awesome hip hop verse with everyone in the chat. So make sure you go and find something that someone said and write some kind of boastful hip hop line. And Chris, it's the same. You're gonna have to go and find some kind of dope rap to write in the chat. So we can put together a big rap song at the end of this. Rory's got circular dependencies. Go and check your indices, which is extra cool because you have done the proper pluralization of index, which is indices. So you get extra points for cleverness. So far, you're winning the freestyle battle of the chat. Sorry, I pressed pause on the stream for a call, so I'm a bit behind. Well, you just got the prize for the best best contribution.
It's funny though. It's like Rory is possibly the busiest person at Supabase. It's like Mental.
That's
Yeah.
how fun that the Supabase happy hour is. That even the
have
busiest
to-
people who have too much going on still want to stop by and hang out and build some cool stuff. All right. Back to it. We're building an app. That's right. I have to keep reminding myself we're not just writing hip hop verses. We are also building an application. So we want a button like this. And we want, wait, no, we don't want a button. Come on.
This is the web.
This is the web. We want a link. Do we want to link any of this to go to an edit page if you click on any of it, or am I overthinking it? Should I just say edit?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
That makes
That's
sense, yeah.
nice.
I like when Jon doesn't overthink it. I get it. We want this to go to /entries/ our current ID, which will be entry.id, and then we want to go to /edit.
Does Remix have relative links? Is that something I'm dreaming up? Like if you like literally just write the word edit without a /, like this could be me going entirely crazy, but I feel like I saw something like that.
You know, if it does, that'd be really helpful, because I was about to say I don't know how I'm going to pull out the dynamic route. Oh no, I just create another folder. Anyway, let's see. Nope. Wait. Refresh. Edit. Ooh.
It does.
That is so cool.
Wow.
Amazing.
That is very cool. That's fancy. Look at that. Where'd you learn that trick?
The internet.
The internet.
Mm.
That's a very handy internet trick.
No, I think it's actually from like a few versions of React Router. Remix uses React Router under the hood, so
yeah, that's
I was
very
like,
cool.
that's got to work. But yeah, it's something I wanted next so badly, but got to wait until their new RFC.
Are they going to do it as part of all of the kind of like nested routing?
I hope so.
Stuff?
I haven't read the RFC in ages, so I don't remember, but I hope so.
Cool. So I haven't done this before, but I'm going to take a wild guess that I can create a folder called $ID, and then in there create an edit file. And then if I say entry edit is equal to this thing. Ooh, yeah, I like that. And then export default entry edit. Then if we refresh this page, we should hopefully see nothing. No, it didn't work.
So this is Remix nested layout. So you need to move.
Yeah, of course. So this
index
one needs to come into here, and this one, nah. This one needs to be called index.tsx. Yeah. So.
And you need to fix the imports.
Sorry.
In this file, that's the error.
Yeah. //
Where
are we here?
Slash another // slash. Yeah, there you go.
Cool. So yeah, so the way that that nested routes work in Remix is if you have something that is called the same thing as a folder, then it will wrap around that component. So I can actually I can demonstrate this by creating a $ID.tsx file again. And in here, if I say, let's just export default, a function. And in this function, we're just going to return a h1. It says hello. I need to stop using this as my example because otherwise we won't know what's rendering. Today is a nice day.
A happy day, even.
Well, a happy day. Today is a happy day. And now if I refresh, we're always going to see today is a happy day, even though we're on / whatever our ID is /edit. So this should be pulling up our /edit page. But we're never going to see that unless we use an outlet. So here, if we say our outlet goes here, and then we do this, and then we make React happy by doing these things. So this component here will wrap around any component in this $ID file, and whatever the actual page that we're trying to load, so this edit page, that won't render unless we use this outlet, and then that page will render wherever this outlet is. So here the outlet is above our H1, so if I save and go back to here and refresh, you'll see that edit and entry are up here, and then today is a happy day is underneath. And then if I put today is a happy day above, I'll get rid of the semicolon as well. If I put this above our outlet, then today is a happy day will appear above and then have our edit and entry. So wherever this outlet is where this component is going to be displayed.
Nice.
And yeah, so the way you get around having this as a wrapping component, if you actually want it to be a separate page, which is what we wanted here, we wanted index.tx to be one page, which is what we see if we go to here. But then we wanted the /edit page to be a different page. We don't want either of those to wrap the other one. And so we got rid of our $.tsx file. We created this folder, and then inside there we put index.tsx. So this is what will render when we're navigating to the ID. And then this is what will render if we're navigating to the ID/edit. All right. Hope we didn't lose too many people with that explanation. But now we have this page, and then if we click edit, we go to this page, which says entry. And if we have a look at our edit page, edit entry is what we're printing out. I confused myself through all of that because it says edit here, but on our other page with our list,
It has an edit button as well.
the button says, yeah, the button, where are we? I've
I think
lost
you're
it.
on the wrong index.tsx.
Yeah, in this one, the button was called index edit. So I kept thinking this was a button and this was the text, but it's just the text edit entry, which is what we want to do on this page. So this page, we want to basically print out or render out, I guess, a bunch of, would you use inputs?
Well, Remix has a fancy forms, doesn't it? You can show us one of those fancy forms.
I did not know that.
It does have fancy forms. It has an uppercase form. And inside here, we can put our inputs. And so this one can be, I don't know, type text, name, can be, well, I guess we'll need to pull in all of these. Sorry?
Title. Sorry, just title, yeah.
Title. But we'll want to probably pre-fill these with the text that is already in the database. And so we probably need a loader to go and get that data and then pass it into our entry edit page. So we can display what the current value is and then change it in that input and then click save or whatever and go and save that to the database. So we want to export const loader. And again, we want this to enforce.
Can we just copy and paste the other loader directly from the edit file?
All right. We'll go and get this one.
Like it's the same, right?
You know, we could, if you wanted to be really cool, you could just fetch it once in a wrapping route.
Like that ID route that we had and then delete it.
Like that one that was really helpful that we had before.
Yeah, and that would have been a great idea.
Pass it into into the outlet. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to copy and paste. More fun. So we need to bring in our entry. Is that where we're bringing in our entry from?
It is now. That's why I'm saying it's freaking me out. We could have moved it before, but we're in too deep now. We're not moving it.
All right.
It's all right.
And we want to bring in our JSON.
Tyler's like, hurry up. It's fine.
Cool. So we have our entry. Yeah, we get our thing, and we can now get our entry by calling use loader data with our entry. And we need to bring that one in. And now our title can have, is there a different helper for or is there a different, should we just set it to the value equals
default value is what you want?
Default values. Entry dot title. Cool, because I was about to say then we're managing all of this yucky state, additional
you can
state.
do or an empty string because it can be null, like the 2 question marks.
And then we just need one of these for each of our entries. So our entry has an ID.
Do we need one for the ID? What do we?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, for the upsert. No,
Definitely.
you can have a hidden input maybe if that's what you're doing, like for the
Okay.
update.
Yeah, good call.
Makes
That's
sense.
what I was doing. So we need to tell when we submit this form, we need to tell Supabase which entry we're actually trying to update. So yeah, we will need a hidden field. So this is one that the user can't change. Well, they can change it, but won't display on the page, and then it will still get posted across with the form. So we can set the value of this one to be our entry dot ID.
Give it a
And
name
we
as well.
want the name to be ID. And then we want I guess we wouldn't ever want to change the created at, and we don't need to pass that across because it's not something that that Supabase needs. And so then we would need
There's a
the
date and a content, right? I think date.
Can we do
We want to
text
make it
area?
editable.
Sorry?
For the
You saying
content,
that-
let's do a text area, I think, is what Alaister said.
text area.
Nice.
Text area.
You don't need the type text as well.
And we don't need the type text. And then it needs to be the actual content of this, doesn't it? Like
No, I
this.
think it works with value as well, but
Cool.
I don't know.
We'll find out soon.
You can get rid of the or empty string on the other ones as well.
On which one?
Because it's required.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there, I think.
You're right. It was just the title because it's
Content is not nullable. Yeah.
Cool. And that was all of our fields, right? We had date, user ID, yeah, all of that. Cool.
Can we do something with something fancy with the date field? Can we make it type date? And
I think
but
so.
then would it work? Would it work when we submit it? That's the part of that
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's
It'll work,
browsers.
right? Yeah.
It'll work, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Things with dates
Nice,
always
nice.
work. And then we want an on submit. So when we actually submit this form, we want to do something. So we'll just create a function called handle
Do we?
submit.
I thought remix were actions and that.
That's what we do. Yes. So I was just about to go and do the unremixy thing and go and create a function in JavaScript and then stop it from doing all its default stuff. But what we actually need to do, which we can demonstrate that our withAuth function, our withAuth higher order function works, because our action will also need to be authenticated because it needs to know which user is trying to submit this form. So we can export const an action function, and this is going to have our withAuth function wrapping it. And so we are going to pass it a arrow function to do stuff. It's going to give us a Supabase client. We need to
withAuth? Not useAuth, but withAuth?
Yes. That's why it's not letting me automatically import something. Which is already here. Never mind. And then rather than selecting an entry, we want to update an entry.
Or upsert?
Yeah, upsert. And then we pass in what we actually want to upsert. And so here we would need each of the entries, which I think gets passed in directly as form data, which if we come back and look at our things that we did here, yeah, actually we can just do this. So in our edit, we get a request, and then we can say our entry. That doesn't make sense. It'll be each of these fields. So it will be our ID, our title, our content, and our date are going to come in from our request.form data. We're destructuring those there. We're then upserting, saying that we want to set our title to be the title, our content to be the content, and our date to be the date. We only want to do that.
Structure the return value and just pass it in. Would that work?
Oh yeah. But we don't want ID just in case anyone. Wait.
Yeah, maybe I'm not thinking enough.
Yeah, these are the only fields that we would want to update. We would never want to update the ID.
No, but I think we need to put the ID into the
though,
upsert because that's what it uses to match.
Yeah.
But like,
that's what we're doing
but to match on the upsert, it has to go into the upsert bit.
We don't need a match on line 26, I think. Yeah, we can just pass ID there and we can get rid of the match, I think.
Right, so it automatically uses the ID.
I believe so, yeah.
Fancy. So in that case, yeah, you're right. We can do we can just say, well, I guess this could be our entry. We can then upsert our entry, and then we can see whether we get data or an error back, and console log those out.
But I guess
because I suspect we're going to get an error. In fact, I know that we're going to get an error, but cool. Is that right? Is that everything we needed to do?
I think so.
Can we also console log the entry just to see what we get?
Oh yeah, good call.
Like from the form, like what the date looks like, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Maybe
Let's
we
give it a go.
do this for just in case anything horrible happens to us along the way. All right. Give it a go. Let's see what happens. So on our edit page.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's no good.
It's okay. It's all right.
It's terrible.
So we can have class name.
No, you can just do a flex col on the form, right? Flex col
equals flex col.
And then can I also have a button of type submit just to
all right,
actually send the form easier?
You can have a button of type submit.
Thank you. Just what I wanted.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Alaister. And this doesn't look great, but let's not worry about it. But our date is not working. Anyway, let's change this to happy hour stream number 12, and submit. And we should get. We might need to have this open. Submit. No, we're getting a 200. It is saying that everything's fine. So if we go happy hour stream, it shouldn't have worked. Something's gone wrong. Yeah, it's still happy hour 11.
Right. All right. I guess we didn't throw anything within the action. That's why it's returning 200.
Yeah, can we see the logs of the thing?
So if we have a look at the logs of the thing, oh god, we need to scroll down. All right. If we have a look at the logs of the thing, getting a lot of 200s. So I think that's login.
I think just go all the way to the bottom.
Yes.
I think there's still a lot more logs.
A lot more logs.
Just go. Are you at the bottom?
That is at the bottom.
Oh.
Should just clear it and redo it? Yeah. Command K.
That works too.
Yeah.
Man, I just cleared this. All right. Refresh. We want it to be happy hour 13. Submit that. We get a 200. We come across here and we see that we get a 200. And so this thinks that everything is okay. When we printing out,
why is that going to login? What's
oh yeah, that's
going on.
Are we no longer logged in? No, we'd be getting redirected.
Do we need to set like a method post or something on the form? It looks like it's going for a
Yes.
get request just there.
That's exactly what's going wrong. Exactly what's going wrong. Yeah. So
Were
as
you
we
setting that
went
up,
through...
or was that actually an issue?
That was actually
Just like,
it's actually
oh,
my brain not working. Yeah.
No, I
It's
thought
not
you were
just
like,
brain not working.
make sure you set the thing to post.
Yeah. So this is the difference between loaders and actions in Remix is that loaders run for GET requests. So like when you're loading the page, the browser's sending a GET request, and then any other type of method, so like put, post, delete, any of those different types of actions get handled by the action. Oh, sorry, any of those different types of methods get handled by the action. And so our form, by default, if we don't specify anything, does a GET request, and it just puts all of the parameters in the URL like this, ID equals blah, 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 which also should have been a hint. And if I get rid of all of those, when we send a post, it won't refresh the page as a GET request, and it will send to this action. And we should actually see all of this stuff happen. Because, yeah, it was weird that we weren't getting anything printed out for the entry or anything after we sent that request to Supabase. So let's submit this. Ooh,
Post.
something happened.
Nice.
We got a post request to there. The request is looking good. The response looks... Oh, we didn't
I
actually
want to see
change
what's.
anything.
I want to see what's logged.
If we say 12, so we're actually changing something. The response says that it's 12, but it shouldn't be working. But let's have a look at the logs. Our logs, our data is null, and here we are. No, this is
Yay,
not the
time
error I was
zones.
expecting. Yeah,
Of course.
The date's not coming across properly because I don't think we inputted it properly.
Yeah.
if we make this a text field, this is what we're getting back.
Yeah, now try it. Now it should be. This looks great. We'll come back around to the date field because we're actually running out of time. I just realized.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. Wow.
So now we're getting the error that I was
Yeah,
actually
there it
expecting,
is.
which is new row violates row level security policy for table entries. And so this is because in our Supabase instance, we have a policy for read, but we don't have a policy for write. So if we create a new policy, which is going to be well, I guess we need an insert and an update, don't we? Because it's going to be the same, but we'll specify them as separate rules. But this is users can update their entry. And this one is going to require someone to be authenticated. The rule is going to be user underscore ID. So the column user underscore ID is equal to our auth.uid. So the person who's currently signed in and trying to perform this action. And then we'll make that the same for our with check. Alaister, do you want to quickly...
using runs before, with check runs after. If you want more detail, go watch the previous 11 streams. Somewhere in there we go over it in a bit more detail.
Yeah, just look through the 24 hours of live streams that we've currently done to find that one little nugget of explanation. And then we will also want user can insert, because we're using an upsert. If the record doesn't exist, it will insert. If it does exist, it will update. So we want to say user can insert their own entry. And again, same rule. We want to make sure that the user ID column is set to the auth.uid, or the ID of the user who's performing this action. All right. And now, is it going to work?
Fingers crossed.
Drum roll.
Something probably happened. Let's go and check the console. And we get back our data.
Nice.
Yay.
Here's null.
Data has the title set to the new
Nicely
title. And now if we come across here and we have a look at our table editor and entries, or I guess we could just refresh the page, but we can see that it has changed in our Supabase database. And if we stop scrolling around everywhere and load the /entries page,
the home page.
Or was it
the home page showing that we have not designed our page structures well. Yeah,
Nice.
we can see our
13.
our 13. Yeah. Oh, that's what I was checking. Yeah. So it shows 13, and then if we click this, we can see this, and then if we click edit, we can change these, and then if we click submit, and then go back to our landing page.
Why don't you just go remove the edit from the URL and then...
It's an excellent idea. We've now scrambled that column, which means we've implemented hashing and encoding our things for security reasons. No, not really. We've successfully built an application that shows our list of entries. We can click into that to see more details. Where we can't change that information, we can click edit to come across to this page where we can actually change what is in there, and we can click submit, and that is proving that.
Maybe one very quick last thing is to, instead of doing in the action the returning JSON entry, can we return a redirect back to the view page?
That's an excellent idea. Yeah, so rather than, because we're not actually doing anything with this entry, we could redirect to just the entry itself.
Yeah, why not?
Excellent
Makes
idea.
sense
Yeah, I
to
think
me.
that makes sense.
What am I doing?
I don't know. You just have to hit tab. Copilot's got it for you.
It knows what I'm trying to do. / entries entry ID. Cool. And we brought that in, and cool. And maybe
Nice.
yeah. All right. We probably don't need this muddying up our console. If there's an error, we probably should handle it, but that's for a later episode. And cool. So now if we would change this to 15 and click submit, it's going to redirect us to this redirect page where we can see that data has updated. But this is proving that our withAuth helper function is also working on our action because our RLS policy requires us to be signed in so that we can get that user ID. And if we were to remove this and try to perform the same action,
we wouldn't have a Supabase client anyway.
Yeah,
I think at this point, Jon's telling the truth.
I promise. If Alaister says I'm telling the truth, and Tyler, do you say I'm telling the truth?
I'd say so. Yep.
All right, then I'm happy with that. Let's go with that. How's our chat going? Homie Coder believes that I can get the flow of these verses and put them together into a dope track. Done with npm PMPM. He is a friend of me. Add and update symlinkless dependencies. That is
difficult.
Very cool. Getting those hip hop raps out there. If you're behind, no need to rewind. Give some respect to the replay subject. Hey, I like that.
Nice.
Rhyming syllables, like multiple syllables within the same phrase. I like it. Thoughts on going until the original end time?
Well, the original end time
we've already gone over
was the original end time was 5 p.m. for me and Jon, which is in 5 hours. So that would be a long stream.
Oh, I thought you were. I thought you were just sassing us about the fact that we're just like running over the time that we said we'd finish. Do you mean like go back to the original Australian happy hour, APAC happy hour time? Or you want us to just keep streaming?
Keep streaming, I think, because that message was sent 2 minutes before we were supposed to finish up. So
you think we should do 7 hours of happy hour? We should start at 10 a.m. our time and go all the way till 5.
We really need to at some point do that, like 24-hour like streaming marathon kind of thing, huh?
It's the only way to make it like fair for everyone in the world. All those different time zones, all those different like working schedules as well. Like some people start at 7 and work till 3, or start at 2 and work till whatever. I think it's only fair that we run a 24-hour stream so that it's convenient for anyone anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Each team member gets 2 hours or an hour or whatever, and then we pass the same app on to the next person. Well, it's like that game where you draw the different parts of the picture, and then you unfold it at the end, and you end up with some monstrosity.
Yeah, this is something that I've wanted to do, that I've pitched for like a hackathon. It's not going to be this hackathon because we haven't had time to organize it, but maybe the following hackathon. I would love to do, like a passing the hackathon project across to different team members in different time zones, because we have people at Supabase all over the world. So it's totally doable. We should probably wrap this up. As much fun as it is to just hang out and keep talking and keep coding and doing things, we should actually go and do some other things. You should come and check out Supabase. youtube.com/c/Supabase, which is our YouTube channel. If you come and click the subscribe and then the little notification bell, you will get notified when we are going live with these things, and you'll also get notified about other awesome videos like the Supabase tips videos that Tyler and Andrew have been putting together. So highly recommend you come and check that out. If you head over to twitter.com/Supabase, give us a follow. Click through to our Discord, which is discord.supabase.com, where you can join 7,642 other people who are building cool stuff with Supabase and want
Going pretty
to.
quick.
Yeah, it's growing very, very quickly. It's
funny that
awesome.
it's 1,024 online right now. It's a very computer science.
Yeah, I actually,
yeah.
I actually did see that, and I was like, "Is that right?" Something it's too perfect.
Too perfect, yeah.
Yeah. And then if you want to follow us, you can follow Tyler at Shukert Jr. on Twitter. You can follow Alaister at Alaister Young on Twitter. And you can follow me at Jon Meyers _IO. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again at this time next week.
Sweet, yeah.
And then the following week, we won't be doing a stream because these two will be at a conference, and I'll be
Although
taking some time off.
maybe you're taking time off, because I
Yeah.
reckon we could get one in. But if you're taking time off, no, there'll be no stream. And we'll say that next
There'll be no stream on the following one. But
Yeah.
next week we'll be doing a stream, and then we'll let you know next week what the actual plan is. But yeah, have a good week,
Cool.
and we will see you soon for more SaaSifying awesome journal entries. Have a good week.
Thanks for
See
watching,
everyone.
everyone. See
It was
you later.
awesome. Bye-bye.